boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages. Yes, the DEI, the Sweet Baby Ink effect, is absolutely out there and still bore out there into infection levels. And ladies and gentlemen, the latest thing to come out and be revealed is completely and totally taken over by the cult is none other than Dead by Daylight, because their developer allegedly is forcing employees to undergo a wheel of privilege and has hired a very crazy, of course, right up the alley of a DEI activist, someone who's completely and totally down with the agenda, possessed by the spirit of the age, and is forcing their cult mentality down every single person's throat. And while we know how this all ends, boys and girls, if you've ever spent any money on Dead by Daylight, know that you have been funding and pushing a woke agenda, whether you knew it or not. And that's exactly what we've got to report on to you guys here today. Because as you can see over here, over on fandompulse.substack from our dear sweet John F. Trent, Dead by Daylight developer allegedly forcing employees to undergo Wheel of Privilege DEI training. And oh, color us shocked there. Yes, boys and girls, this is going to be a long time before we purge this infection, before we purge this cancer from all of polite society and all of our entertainment. And calling things out like this and continue to push back on this kind of stuff and call these companies out for hiring these kind of people and treating their employees this way is something that we continue to do, and we cannot let up the pedal on at least in a single slightest bit, because this kind of stuff is an absolute infection that has to be purged. It has to be routed out by from the very root and the core of it, and have it all ripped out and burned and left completely and totally outside of our village, because that is the way you treat this kind of infection. That's the way you treat this kind of insanity. And that's exactly what we're going to do today, calling this nonsense out and letting our voices be heard, and also making sure all of you are informed by this, especially if you're a Dead by Daylight player. So we're going to check out this article and get all of the juicy details. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls, because we are grinding, we are growing, and I could not do that without every single one of you. Also, leave us a comment in the section down below. Are you surprised to hear this about Dead by Daylight? Have you seen any of this kind of infection in the game itself out there? Are you a big fan of this game, and have you played it a lot? Let us know what you think about all that in the comment section down below. And if you'd like to support the channel, please check out the links in the description as well. So from fandompulse.substack.com and our dear sweet John F. Trent, Dead by Daylight developer Behaviour Interactive is alleged to have forced its employees to undergo a Wheel of Privilege DEI training. Che Retrick, who runs the Libs of TikTok account on X, posted, Behaviour, a large video game company in Montreal, Canada. Oh, color us shocked there, Montreal, Canada. Hey, guess what else that's home to? Sweet Baby Inc., boys and girls. I wonder if there's any correlation. Made employees undergo DEI training, which includes a Wheel of Privilege, teaching that black people and fat people are oppressed. Yes, boys and girls, if you're a fatty out there who doesn't know how to put down the ding-dongs and the potato chips, you're oppressed. It's not your fault you're fat. It's society's fault. It's the culture's fault that you're fat. Not because you don't have any self-control and can't stop buying ho-hos at your local grocery store. No, no, no. It's society's fault, and you should feel oppressed, fatty, because yes, it's something you can't change, and the world just needs to understand that you're going to die of diabetes and heart attacks at an early age, because at the end of the day, it truly is a death cult, and all they want you to do is DIE, ladies and gentlemen. In a post to Instagram in August 2020, Duckworth explained that the wheels like this help us visualize what the term marginalized means. The further you are from power, the more marginalized and powerless you are. Oh yes, because of immutable characteristics, you literally can't absolutely see your way out of a wet paper bag. You can't do anything about that. It's society's fault that you're oppressed. It's not because you didn't study hard enough in school. It's not because you can't. It's not because of all the fact that you didn't want to apply yourself. No, no, no. It's society's fault, fatty. She continued, you will notice as you try to place yourself in different categories that your level of power / marginalization will likely shift between categories. This is another way to look at intersectionality, coined by Kimberly Crenshaw. Oh yeah, that DEI cult activist out there. Oh joy. Following Libs of TikTok's report, YouTuber Smash JT shared on X, Behaviour felt like it was a good idea to go down this road, hiring Sylvia Duckworth, a deep-rooted race-baiting grifter, to cash in on DEI money. DIE money. Sylvia is everything wrong with entertainment in the modern era. Behaviour Interactive has shown their true colors. And as you can see, color us shocked there, ladies and gentlemen. It's another privileged white woman telling minorities, POCs, and apparently fat people, and honestly, she doesn't look too obese herself out there, that you all should feel oppressed because it's society's fault. It's not anything you've done. No, no, no. Society is the reason you're stuck in the shithole job and in the shithole position you find yourself in. And of course, it's another typical white woman with the Karen haircut talking down to all of us oppressed POCs because we're just too dumb to figure out things on our own. Thank you, white savior. Thank you. How else would any of us, people of color out there, how any of us with marginalized backgrounds, how would any of us out there truly understand the world if it wasn't for stupid white bitches like you? Thank you so much, you stupid twats. He continued. Sylvia, a white woman, has a very long Instagram filled to the brim with race grifting and propaganda pushing. Here's a sample of some of her posts. Books about black people. Romance novels about black people. Black people should be celebrated. Oh, look, a black picture. Once again, from a white woman, ladies and gentlemen. Can't she tell you all about your experiences as a person growing up in whatever culture you grew up in? Oh, yes, of course. Thank you, white savior. But it doesn't stop there. She also posts about promoting trans ideologies and pushes books on trans for children. Takes a special kind of fuckery to go to this extreme. Here's just a few quick examples from a long list. Black trans lives matter. Transphobic, doesn't have a look. Oh, people exist in the future. This is what you know about the anti-trans. Oh, yes. Aren't those headlines you just can't wait for all your children to read, boys and girls? Because color us shocked there. If she's pushing all of the diversity, inclusion, and equity nonsense, she also wants to sterilize your children. Wow. I don't know. Strange concept. It's almost like it is a death cult. I don't know. Weird concept. Maybe I'm just crazy. Maybe I'm just looking too much into it. Maybe I'm one of those crazy, religious Christian white people out there. This is like, this is all, No, it really is all the work of the devil. It really is. Most of her posts seems to fixate on kids and encouraging transitioning or creating LGBTQ lifestyle. Oh, color us shocked there. And of course, look at this. The elf on the shelf. Yes, boys and girls, every single one of you that has ever had an elf on a shelf out there, you're out there brutalizing your children. Look at that. The elf on the shelf is evil. It's racist. It encourages a naughty and nice binary. It punishes children who demonstrate negative emotions, i.e. bad. Yeah, God forbid you actually raise your children properly and punish them and teach them how to properly operate in society. God forbid you teach them right from wrong and good and evil, because that's all this stuff is. They want to blur the lines. They want to confuse your children because that makes them easier to control, manipulate, and do other horrible things that all of these little sickos actually want to do. And then look at this kind of stuff. I mean, literally, you came from my vagina. Teach the children. Believe in yourself with an intense emotion. I mean, look at this kind of nonsense. I look at this insanity. This is the kind of shit Behavior out there studios is promoting and developing. They hired this woman. They paid any of you Dead by Daylight fans out there that have paid any money for that game in any way, shape, or form. They are taking your hard-earned dollars to pushing a trans agenda on your children. Boy, isn't that exactly where you want your money going, boys and girls? Smash JT concludes. I could go on pointing out a seemingly endless amount of creepy child-focused posts, but here is, I don't care how many credentials you have, common sense screams you belong in a padded room with this shit not promoted to educate others in the workforce. Absolutely shameful. I mean, look, of course, we've got the typical little defund the police kind of nonsense. I mean, Black Lives Matter. I mean, it's absolute insanity. And of course, John's going to give you the religious perspective on that from his Catholic background. And I absolutely love that about that. So if you guys want to go read his full breakdown on all of the Catholic, what the Catholic opinion is, all of this stuff, make sure you guys go check out Fandom Pulse over there on Substack. But yeah, color us shocked there on any of this. So here's another prime example of another company we've had to expose for being completely and totally down with the spirit of the age and forcing this ideology down the throats of their employees. And we know how this ends up going. This is the way of the cult purges people who actually have common sense and still believe in actual morals and legitimate good and evil out there in the world. This is how they purge people like that from these companies. And everything else that comes from Behavior going forward from this will be nothing more than a woke, infected DEI nonsense, because this is all these kind of people do. There is a cult. You either convert or get excluded. That's what happens every single time. So if you're anybody that pushes back and stands up against any of this kind of nonsense, you will get shut down. And color us shocked there. It's coming out of a country like Canada out there. Montreal, Canada. I mean, literally one of the hot spots of all of the woke DIE kind of nonsense and all of the rest of those kind of garbage out there. It is literally a bastion for cultists out there, and now is affected Dead by Daylight as well. And this kind of stuff has to be called out. This kind of stuff has to be purged, because if you have any hope for Dead by Daylight ever being good in the future or having continually actually good content going forward. This kind of stuff has to be purged from Behavior Studios. If not, it will go down the exact same way we have seen every other video game who has been infected by this kind of nonsense going forward. Exactly like we've seen with Concord and every other game that's come out this year that has had nothing more than a disastrous dumpster fire. DIE does exactly that. It comes in and it destroys creativity and it causes companies to die. We have seen this time and time again. And Behavior, if you keep this kind of stuff around, Dead by Daylight and the rest of your company will end up the exact same way. So call them out. Make your voices heard. Share this video everywhere and call these companies out. If you are a fan of Dead by Daylight and you do not want to see your game get completely and totally destroyed by these crazy activists, you need to call these companies out. You need to make your voices heard on social media. Send emails. Do not buy their games. Do not pay any more money. Make sure they know about all of this kind of stuff on their ratings. Let your voices be heard, because at the end of the day, we have found out, especially over the last month, and I would argue definitely over the last few years, that at the end of the day, common sense still reigns supreme. That the majority of people out there in Western civilization do not agree with this kind of diversity, inclusion, and equity nonsense. They have rejected it completely. Not only have they rejected it in the entertainment sphere, in the video game sphere, but also now at the polls as well. And there is no way of denying that out there in any way, shape, or form, boys and girls. The message has been sent loud and clear across all of Western civilization. The majority of people out there are still common sense. They don't want anything to do with your absolute garbage, nonsense, woke agenda, and they will not put up with it. And we will continue to call them out for this kind of garbage, because they have spent hundreds of millions of dollars going down this path. It will all end in nothing more than a fire and everything burning down to the ground, because that's what DIE does. And guess what? At the end of the day, Behavior Studios, Dead by Daylight, just like everyone else, you decided to dance with the devil, and now you're going to get burned.